Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable people get when they ask you, "So what do you do?" And your answer isn't simple. You hesitate for half a second, not because you're confused, but because there isn't one clean label. You've worked in marketing, but you also code. You love psychology, but you're obsessed with design. You've started businesses, written online, maybe even studied something completely different in college. And every time you try to explain yourself, you see it in their eyes. Oh, so you're still figuring it out. Still figuring it out. That phrase hits deeper than it should, because secretly, you've wondered the same thing. Why can't I just pick one thing? Why does my brain light up in 10 different directions? Why do I get bored so fast once I master something? Why does everyone else look so linear? Here's the truth no one told you. You are not confused. You are not scattered. And you are definitely not behind. You are built for a world that is just now being born. And if you want deep psychological insights like this, the kind that help you understand yourself instead of trying to fix yourself, make sure you subscribe. Because most people will spend their entire lives trying to force themselves into shapes they were never designed to fit. And on this channel, we don't do that. We decode the wiring. We understand the architecture. We learn how to use it. Now let's talk about something powerful. For decades, success followed a straight line. Pick a major, pick a career, climb one ladder, stay in your lane.
That was the model, the I-shaped path. One deep specialization, one vertical climb. And if you had too many interests, you were told to narrow down, focus, specialize, commit. But something has changed. Look at the modern economy. Look at the way technology is evolving. Look at how quickly industries shift, collapse, merge, and reinvent themselves. The future is no longer stable enough for single-lane identities. It's becoming M-shaped. An M-shaped person doesn't just have one deep skill. They have multiple pillars of depth, connected by bridges of curiosity. Imagine the letter M, 2 peaks, maybe 3. Each peak represents deep competence. But what makes it powerful is not just the peaks, it's the connections between them. Marketing plus psychology, technology plus storytelling, finance plus design, health plus data. When you combine fields, you don't just add value, you multiply it. And your brain, it might already be wired for this. Let's talk about why. If you have too many interests, your dopamine system behaves differently. Most people get dopamine from repetition and mastery within one domain. They feel safe going deeper and deeper into one lane. But your nervous system craves novelty and pattern recognition across domains. You don't just want to go deeper, you want to connect dots. That's not distraction, that's integrative thinking. Your prefrontal cortex lights up when you see unexpected links between unrelated ideas. That's why you'll be reading about human behavior one day and suddenly connect it to branding, or study economics and link it to relationships, or learn about fitness and see business lessons inside it. Your brain is constantly asking, how did these systems talk to each other? And here's where it gets psychological.
When you were younger, this probably wasn't praised. Teachers reward focus. Parents reward stability. Society rewards clarity. So when you bounced between interests, people subtly signaled that something was wrong. Why can't you just stick with one thing? That question triggers something ancient in the brain, the belonging instinct. Humans evolved in tribes. Survival depended on fitting in. When your path looks unconventional, your nervous system interprets social confusion as potential rejection. And rejection, to your brain, equals danger. So you start doubting yourself. Maybe I'm inconsistent. Maybe I like discipline. Maybe I'm just afraid to commit. But what if that narrative is wrong? What if your ability to move between domains isn't instability, but range? Look at how innovation actually happens. It rarely comes from someone going deeper in the same tunnel forever. It comes from collision. Steve Jobs connected calligraphy to computer design. Musicians study psychology. Entrepreneurs study biology. The most influential thinkers are rarely single-threaded. They're multidimensional. And here's the part most people miss. Having multiple interests doesn't mean you avoid depth. It means you create multiple depths over time. You might go intensely into one field for 2 years, then another, then another. From the outside, it looks chaotic. From the inside, it's cumulative. It's a compass.
Because each new skill stacks on the previous one. This is called skill stacking. You don't have to be the best in the world at one thing. You become uniquely dangerous by being very good at several complementary things. A good writer who understands psychology is powerful. A programmer who understands human behavior is rare. A marketer who understands data and storytelling is unstoppable. And in the M-shaped future, rare combinations win. But let's go deeper. Why do you feel restless once you master something? It's not because you're flaky. It's because your brain is wired for growth, not maintenance. Once a skill becomes automatic, the dopamine drops. Your nervous system stops being stimulated by repetition. It starts scanning for the next frontier. That restlessness is not a weakness, it's a compass.
But here's the danger. If you don't consciously structure your multiple interests, you can drift. You can become a collector of beginnings without building peaks. And this is where emotional maturity matters. Being M-shaped doesn't mean chasing every shiny object. It means intentionally building depth in multiple pillars. There's a difference between curiosity and avoidance. Curiosity expands you. Avoidance distracts you from discomfort. So ask yourself something uncomfortable. When you switch interests, is it because you're bored or because you hit resistance? Because every field becomes hard once you move past the honeymoon phase. Mastery always requires friction. The M-shaped advantage only works if you push through friction in each domain long enough to build real competence. Otherwise, you don't have peaks, you have sketches. And here's something most people won't tell you. The future of work is becoming less about job titles and more about problem solving across systems. AI is automating narrow specialization. Algorithms are replacing repetitive expertise. But connecting emotional intelligence with technology, combining creative storytelling with data science, translating complex systems into human language, that's harder to automate. That's human integration. And if you understand this, you gain leverage.
Midway through this video, I want you to realize something important. Understanding your own cognitive wiring gives you an unfair advantage. In relationships, because you see patterns others miss. In career, because you adapt faster than specialists who depend on one lane. In confidence, because you stop trying to shrink yourself to fit outdated models. You're not scattered, you're adaptive. Let's talk about identity. One of the hardest psychological battles for multi-interest people is identity confusion. When someone asks, "Who are you?" you don't have a single word answer. And humans crave identity stability. It reduces anxiety. It gives us narrative coherence. But here's the reframe. You don't need a single identity. You need a unifying theme. Instead of saying, "I'm a marketer" or "I'm a developer," you might say, "I solve human problems at the intersection of psychology and technology." See the difference? The theme stays stable. The tools evolve. This is how you create coherence without shrinking your range. Another psychological layer. People with many interests often have high openness to experience, a personality trait linked to creativity, curiosity, and abstract thinking. High openness correlates with tolerance for ambiguity. You're comfortable exploring unknown territory.